Well. Doesn't look too disappointing in the scoreline in the end, does it? And very frustrating. Listen, I was saying backstage before the game, I think everyone thought we were going to get hammered. There was a lot of jokes going around, whatever else. Wasn't pretty, was it? We've got some serious problems with the midfield defence, we're conceding way too many goals at the minute. Thanks for joining us, guys. Stu, thank you, mate. Kyle should be here in a minute. Hammer's just sorting his internet out. Good to have you back, buddy. How you feeling after that? You're mute, my good man.
It's shocking, isn't it? I have a couple of days off and it's shocking. Look, I thought it was all right. I know there's going to be a lot of doom-mongery going on amongst the fan base, but for me, I didn't think we played too bad. I thought we held our own. I know people will argue that Bayern were able to pick us off at will. Yes, I think you could argue that they could and did. But equally, when you look at, and I thought we did all right again against Brighton. I didn't think we were disastrous. I just think Brighton on the day were a better team, better organised, and more clinical than us. Again, we've kind of accelerated into the final third and not done a great deal with it. But Reguilón was decent tonight. I really thought he played well. Didn't think Dalot had his best of games. I didn't think Martinez played particularly well.
No.
Lindelof didn't play particularly well. The Casemiro and Eriksen were okay in patches. Bruno in patches. I thought Højlund looked good. But I mean, there's going to be a stage where everyone's going to look at Rashford, because Rashford's going to go onto the pitch with a bloody mouth because Højlund smashed him in the face in training or at half time, because he just isn't passing the fucking ball. He is not, and there was 2 or 3 occasions where you've got to get the ball across to a striker. A striker feeds off it, and once it does go into him, look what happens. He scores. So all in all, we've come away. We scored 3 goals in the Allianz Arena. That's away to Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich will be kicking themselves because, a lot of their fans will say, well, how the hell have Manchester United come in and scored 3 goals? If you were to really break down the match.
Do you think it has an impact on anything, though? Obviously, at the moment, point system. Do you think Do you think it affects them coming to Old Trafford? Do you think there's something? No. Okay.
No, probably by the time they come to Old Trafford, they'll be done, because we don't play them now till match day 6, do we?
That's right. Yeah.
So they'll be through and they'll go up and over. It's down to us now to get 4 wins from Galatasaray and Copenhagen, and then make the final match day 6 a bit of a dead rubber. All we got to do is qualify, and it's never disastrous if you win the first game in the Champions League, to be fair, because you got 5 more to go. So I think for us, I think Ten Hag will be pretty pleased. He'll be frustrated. I think a lot of the players will be frustrated. Anana in particular will be frustrated. And I think on the plane ride home tonight, there'll be a lot of soul searching, or there should be a lot of soul searching. But for me, I'm in the camp of let's move on. It wasn't a bad night's work, I didn't think. I didn't think we'd ever go and beat Bayern in their backyard in our current form anyway. So to score 3 goals, I'm pretty pleased. So I think that's all right. It's not bad. It's not a bad night's work, right?
Yeah, and at the end of this, we do have to try and find the positives and be as positive as we can. We were saying backstage, I think we were a bit unfortunate for poor finishing. Couple of chances in the first half, we could have been 2-0 up. I think we've been very, very unfortunate with decisions in the last few games. You mentioned Brighton, Arsenal, and today as well. I thought the penalty was very, very soft, and I think that changed the game, really. I know we were 2-0 down. We come in 3 minutes later. Højlund scores. Very well taken goal, by the way. And then obviously they get the penalty. Unfortunate. Hammer, great to have you, my man. How are you feeling after that?
I don't know, man. Y'all are doing a better job than me about remaining positive. I mean, to be honest with you, from my perspective, that was pretty rough. It was another game where we started out well, didn't take our chances, and once we went
Doing a lot of that,
down,
aren't we?
everybody folded. And that's really getting on my nerves because it's one thing to lose games, it's one thing is to see half or more of your team giving up and not pressing and jogging and throwing their hands up and complaining, you know. So yeah, man, I get it. And don't get me wrong. I even said in the last show, I think right now everything you need to take with a grain of salt, both with how early it is, but also with the amount of injuries and people that we don't have in the team. But it's not looking good mentally. Like I get it, it's a difficult time to start the season out that rough, but like like I said again, like I said, I get losing. We haven't won in the style of Manchester United for a while now, so I can take losing. But when you're just getting when you're starting off 20 minutes decent, and then for the rest of the game you're getting played off the pitch, and you're Rashford's walking half the time, Bruno is overdoing it on the press and being out of position. And then when we need subs, it's not like we have too many options. And then we get start, and then Ten Hag's doing his whatever he considers his best and moving people in certain pieces to try to make something happen. But yeah, it ended 4-3 with two late goals from our number six, who we didn't bring in to have any type of goal contribution for us. So I get it. I know we're trying to stay positive, but things need to turn around, not just in terms of the quality, but also how we compose ourselves on the pitch.
Yeah, fair points. Good points, well made. Vicky in the comments here, thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Casemiro or Sergio? I thought Sergio looked very good. He has done in both of his appearances now. Casemiro, I mean, he got 2 goals, but I would say he was very poor tonight, to be honest, and he has been for a few games now. Kai, thank you very much for joining me, my man. Put your spin on it, please.
I'm in Spain, and the S is silent.
Oh, very nice.
So that's pain, Stu. I'm in pain.
Yes.
I'm not surprised. I fully expected at some stage that Bayern will be able to control the game and sort of lead it the way that they wanted to, which is sort of what every team's been doing. They figure us out really quickly, and then after that, they pretty much do whatever they want with us, right? It's very weird, but I always see the same signs at the end of a manager's reign at Man United, where players start doing certain things which are very similar to what we always see, like conceding these type of easy goals. I mean, I think Stu will know these cutback goals. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. It's so obvious. It's happening the whole time. So I'm obviously like, of course, Ten Hag and the coaches are like, all right, let's have a look at this, look at the game tape. Of course, they have a look at it, but Casemiro is in the same position in every single cutback, exactly the same position. Martinez and whoever his centre back partner are in the exact same position every single time. Ericsson or whoever the midfield partner of Casemiro is nowhere to be seen. It's just like a massive hole that just appears over there. And our fullbacks get beat too easy. Like Dalot got beaten too easily for that. There's no way he should just, because he also watched him after it. He almost gave up. So it's like little things which I always see, and the biggest one for me is the lack of. It always seems like there's a lack of options on the bench at the end of these managers' reign. It always seems like the game's going forever without making a substitution, and then you look at the bench, and that is the reality. So I'm beginning to think it surely can't just be the manager. Of course, it is something bigger that is going on there, because
Yeah.
Ten Hag looks behind him and then he sees Martial and Garnacho, and then a few other lads, young guys, and then Evans and someone else. And then you begin to think, if you get another manager, guess what he's going to have? The composition of 6 other managers that came before him, and not going to get the opportunity to say, like Pep said, I don't like Claudio Bravo, give me somebody else. I don't like Joe Hart, give me someone else. I don't like Sanya, give me Kyle Walker. All of those things, always come all together. So I don't know what's going to happen. I certainly think we need our injured players back for us to have any sort of a chance, because what is happening now is it's eerily similar to what always happens when United are on a downhill slope. It doesn't get better. The next club, which is the worst club, is the one that will put 5 past us, like Burnley. And then we'll be like, pressure, and then the pressure will cave, and then the manager gets sacked. So essentially, for me, this Bayern game, I knew what was going to happen. It's not really a surprise. They kept the ball when they wanted to. We got some chances, scored some goals, but it is what it is.
The cutback thing that you're talking about, you are 100% right. The interesting thing about a cutback from a centre half's position and also a fullback's position is Reguilon was doing everything correct, actually, because he gave the forward player the 2 to 3 yards that he needed, but he pushed him as far to the byline as possible. Now, the position then of a centre half needs to be 6 to 7 yards, so you need to allow the goalkeeper to have the 6-yard area so we can either claim the cutback, but it also makes it very, very difficult. So the striker's only got one position to play the ball, which is right across the 6-yard box. And if you're a smart centre half, which we're supposed to have 2 of them, then you're not going to allow, you're going to block the centre forwards coming in to make that challenge. Also, then you've got a Nana who can step 2-3 yards off his line and then prevent the cutback. Because very rarely are you going to see a strike in a goal. And we're not doing that. You're absolutely right. There's no look over the shoulder. There's no wondering where the forwards are.
Let's get as well. We have a double pivot. That's what's even crazier. We have a double pivot, but it seems like there's actually like a half. It's just a half of a player somewhere, and that's Casemiro diving in because he's too old. So it's literally, you can actually see. Yeah,
I mean, I've said before, and I maintain that football's all about concentration, using your eyes and your ears. Your legs and your feet get you to where your eyes and your ears tell you to be. That's what football is, and we don't seem to be doing that at the moment. There's a real problem of communication. Martinez is very uncomfortable alongside Lindelof. You could tell that Lindelof's uncomfortable alongside Martinez. There's no compatibility there between our centre halves. The Casemiro Eriksen effect worked really, really well. Who did we play second? I can't remember who our second match was this season, and my brain's gone. But it worked well that game. They combined like they were for most of last season, but they're a bit too far apart. Again, there's not this 10, 15. They're a little bit more.
But you know what it is for me?
Spurs it was. We played
Spurs, that's it, yeah.
For me, with Casemiro and Eriksen, do you know what it is? If you actually study it, it's funny what like age does to a person, right? Because they know exactly what to do. That's the funny thing, right? So Casemiro knows exactly what to do, but you can actually see when he's getting spun by someone like Musiala, he's not used. It's crazy because he's like, wait, I should be able to turn quickly and then catch you, but he's not able to catch him. So he can't cover the gaps. And then you see him sliding. That's how you know that a guy is getting a bit older, when he's just sliding because he's like, listen, I can't cheat. I've got to make a challenge of some sort.
But there you adjust your game, Kai. As a coach, you'll know, so if I'm playing against Musiala, I'm clotheslining him.
Yeah, true.
You're going to have
the wrong sport.
That's true. But again, it's Casemiro. He always has to think about what he's going to do twice, right? Like a clothesline is dangerous.
But that's not legal in American football either.
And then you also look at Eriksen, and then the funny thing is our defensive shape is slightly better when he plays for a short period because he also knows what to do, and he also has football IQ, but also he's getting older. So even his pass completion, even his final pass, it's lacking. That's the honest truth. Like Eriksen used to be perfect, pinging the ball perfectly, but now when you get older, the balance is all wrong. So even when you got a release and the press is coming and he's uncomfortable sometimes. So I think the combination of them is, if you put it 5 years ago, would have been great. Perfect.
You're right. You are right, guys.
It's
I'm an old player, dude, and I'm an amateur player, and I've had to change completely the way that I play now. But it is all about brain. Everything that I do now is about brain and looking and making sure I'm in that position, because if I don't get there, I won't get there, if that makes sense. I've got to anticipate where the ball is, because if I don't, I'm not going to get there. And I'm playing against a bunch of 50-year-olds in a league that we're playing on over a super vets thing, and we're all the same. We're all concentrating more about getting into position than we are what we're going to do when we have the ball. And our players, and this is what annoys me with elite athletes, elite professional footballers, is their lack of perceived brain power. Now, I was watching a program the other day that I won't name the player, but the player was saying, "Oh, you can't go against the manager." Well, that's absolute bollocks. You can go against the manager. You should go against the manager. If it isn't working, you take the game by the scruff of your neck and you do it. You're the one that then starts to become instrumental. You should never look to the bench for somebody to tell you where to go, to point where to be. You should fucking know where you should be, because it's right in front of you. I say it all the time. And you coach, Kai, I coach. You know football, Hammy. You know football, Mark. Look,
Not really.
Listen, think. Look, listen, think. That's what you say all the time. Look, listen, think. I want you to start looking.
I believe Carlos said football is played with your head and your feet are just the tools.
It is. It's all about you. It's all about your brain. And, the interesting thing about this is when we were playing, and we did our patches where we played some nice football. We're not at this level of being slick yet, but we did play some nice football and players were looking. But that real burst and that energy came from Reguilón, our little tiny left back. That's where the energy came from. So Vicky's asking about Anana, by the way. I'll just quickly answer that.
I was gonna move on to Anana.
Oh,
so just bear with me a second. I'm gonna come to you on this, Hammer, and obviously, as you said, Vicky has asked in the question, we haven't spoken about him yet. First of all, Paul Scholes has spoken about the mistake a little bit. He's got to get over it quickly. He can't let it affect the rest of his performance for the season. Rio has then gone on to say all the blame for the Bayern's first goal lays at his door. It was a straightforward save. It's not a hard shot to deal with. He'd expect to make that save. And then goes on to say Anana's error epitomises Man United's this season. Most of the goals they've conceded this season, they could have made tougher for the opposition. He hasn't dealt with a big moment there. What were your thoughts on that, Hammer, and those comments as well?
Well, I mean, yes, the goal obviously was extremely poor. I mean, it wasn't hit with any power. The only thing you can give it was maybe a bounce, but I don't know what his reaction, what he was trying to do there, or what he saw from his perspective, I guess is what we can say as well. But the bigger issue for me is when I was listening to the commentary and, balls moving on, games moving on, and they're talking about saying that Onana's talking to himself in the goal because he's still in his head about that mess up, and that's an issue for me. I think as there's in every sport you can say that you should have a short-term memory and all that type of stuff, but in every sport there are also specific positions where you very much so need to have a short-term memory, and goalkeeper for football is one of those. You cannot be talking to yourself and being in your head, looking down in your own head, not paying attention to the game because you gave up a goal. Yes, it was a terrible goal. People are already on his butt for it, but you can't be sitting there in the game with your head down. And I know he was going to. We all saw the video that went out there. That video ended up not being, the best thing for him to be put out afterwards. But he has the mentality, but you need to have it in the game as well. You can't be looking down and talking to yourself in the middle of a game because you let a goal slip by when you're a goalkeeper. And I don't know if it affected the rest of the game. He did end up making some good saves. He
did.
Yeah, man.
I think after a blunder like that, after the season and the criticism you've been under, in a massive game like that, millions of people watching, I think he recovered well. and sometimes it takes a big person to do that.
And I'm not worried about him. And like people have said, Richard James just commented, Schmeichel, we all remember when De Gea came in his first couple of seasons. Like, some keepers are going to struggle, especially coming to a club like United. So I'm not worried about him. I think he's going to be fine. But that can't happen in a game, and that especially can't happen in a big game, whether it's Champions League game against Bayern Munich, whether it's a derby, whether it's Liverpool, right? Like, in big games especially, you cannot be talking to yourself like that. You need to be back instantly. But yeah, I think he'll be fine. It's a little frustrating because these goals are slipping in, but I'm not too worried about him. He's not the part that I'm worrying about overall for the team, is what I'm saying.
You know why he was talking to himself though.
I know he was trying to get himself back, but like,
not even how much. You know what it was, right? Okay, think of these moments in life, right? Where, okay, so the team's not doing well, and then you're the guy that does the press conference, right? Everyone's all good. You're trying to get it back. And then you have this moment with this reporter. You tell him, nah, fam, listen, it's all on me. Don't worry. Hand on shoulder. And then that happens. It's like a curse, right? It's like he's basically saying to himself, like, I can imagine he's saying to, oh my goodness,
I can't go on the next one.
Exactly. He's just like, really, seriously, really, United,
seriously. That was like, the football universe kicking him in the nuts.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just one of those ways, like, come on, no, this is a joke. No, seriously, how is this possible? The one day this happens is today. And then you can see from his performance, the rest of it, that he does get over things quickly. He was punching things all over the show. He was coming to claim and all of that stuff. But I think he was just kind of saying to himself, how? Like, I think every United player is just like, how's that happening? It's just like a wave. It's just like, it's just weird things happening around. It's like it's that
same thing with the handball. I don't know if we're going to be talking about
that. I quite like Onana, to be fair, but I have to say, you know, when you look at his persona, you've got to take the supermodel speedos off occasionally and start wearing the dad trunks until you grow into your position, because you know there are certain players. Eric Cantona was a rare player. Georgie Best was a rare player. Zidane was a rare player. Pirlo. There's certain types of players that can go anywhere, strut the stuff, and walk the walk.
They just have that presence.
They've got this presence and honor. You know, Eric Cantona, when he walked into into the room, his ghost had been there. 10 minutes before. He's that type of player. And Nana wants to be that, and I get it. I like the way he does, but when you go to a club like Manchester United, you just got to sort yourself out first. I kind of agree with Richard James in a way. You'll probably see a similar scenario with the way that Schmeichel started his career. He had a really poor 6 months. He was really bad for 6 months. I think Onana will grow into it, and I think probably next season we'll wonder what we were all talking about. But if you are experiencing these troubles, so to speak, then it's up to you to tuck in your skirt and get on with it. It really is. You just got to brush it aside, mate, and move on.
Can I say, it also could be that Onana maybe overestimates the confidence level or ability level of his players, right? Because when you are, for example, at a team which has like ability which is not affected by whatever's going on in the game, that means you can control a ball no matter what. You can make a 5-yard pass no matter what, even if you're having not really a great game. Then those type of players, you can say, calm down, right? And they understand what you mean by calm down. United players,
and on the flip side as well, you can see that they are getting used to him. You can see that.
True, but it's just one of those things whereby I think it'll get to a point where there's a ceiling, right? Where no matter how many times you say calm down, or you say, or you try and motivate everyone, the level doesn't really go up. There is a moment like that, and I feel like Onana is a Champions League goalkeeper. He's a Champions League finalist goalkeeper. He was playing with football players which are doing things consistently, which he's used to. At this moment, it's almost for him, make a wish. That's the truth, because he's
absolutely.
Every time he's like, come on. He can't believe it in his head. It's not like he's actually acting really well to be that person who says, you know what, calm down, everything is fine. Because some things he's seeing, he's like, no, this is not normal. How is this just happening in front of me? So, you know, I think that there are some, you know, characters still in the team, and you know, I'm starting to see a little bit of Bruno, for example, as well, who don't have a strong mentality when it comes to just a little bit of calm down, or how to just change the level of the game. The level's always either all the way low or you are all the way high, and there's no middle ground. And sometimes you saw Bayern were in a middle ground sometimes, you know, and then in that middle ground you might score 1 or 2 goals. But if you're always low the whole time, then it's different. So I do think that the mentalities are different. The more we replace some guys, the more it does get better, but it's still a little bit, you know, even Rashford, he doesn't have that, okay, this is the moment of the game. This is what this moment needs in the game.
I'm just
It's
saying,
it's a mishmash of personalities, in if you get what I mean. So I don't know. It'll be difficult, but they need to be on the same page, especially Onana's page as well. If you're a Champions League finalist last year, then there are some things which you expect to be on the same page in that you shouldn't really be discussing, you know. Yeah.
And I just want to say real quick, I think some of this, and you know, I'm somebody who's a mental health, all this type of thing, but I think some of this locker room needs an old school approach to getting their shit back going, because and I feel like Stu would appreciate this. At a certain point, me and Rashford are boxing in the locker room. Because if I look up and you run for 20 minutes and you walk for 70 minutes, we're boxing at some point. And we're probably we'd be good after it, but like there's no way. And I'd be looking at Rashford saying, F your 30 goals last season, whatever, right? Like you can't be walking for 70 minutes. And that like just that part of it, forget the talent, forget the quality, forget you coming from the academy, you can't be walking for 70 minutes.
Well, it's all about good practice. It's all about standards. Football is a lot about standards as well. It's how you conduct yourself on that pitch. And you're both right. Kai's right, really. Most teams have a go-to player, or should have a go-to player. When there's goings, gets a little bit tough, just knock the ball to this guy and he'll hold it, he'll shield it, and he'll buy you that 10, 15 seconds that you desperately need to then transition your play. Who is our player that will do that? Last season, Casemiro would transition it beautifully. He really would. He'd knock it off to Eriksen, and Eriksen would get a smoother. Is Amrabat the guy for that? I don't know. There's a massive call to get Amrabat into the side. I'm sure he'll be able to have this effect that everybody wants, but we won't know till he does that. But when you listen to a lot of what we talk about on this particular channel, anybody who's watching who knows us and understands what we talk about the need for basics in football, and we don't do the basics very well in football, and that's really bad. It's really bad. Good professional footballers, good elite pros know how to take the sting out of a game of football. As Hammer says, I looked around and I saw Lindelof look at Onana and then walk off. I'd have been absolutely in Onana's face if it was me. What the fuck are you doing? Jesus Christ. You're costing us here, pal. And you've got to let these people know. And then Onana's big enough, or should be big enough, to say, you know what, mate, you're absolutely fucking right. Leave me alone and I'll be getting on with it. We don't do this. I've never seen any of our players argue. We made a big statement a couple of weeks ago when Onana was having a pop at Maguire. He's having a go at Maguire, and it's all over the papers. He's growling like a panther, etc., etc., etc. That's bullshit. That should be standard, absolutely standard.
Even on the pitch,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, if I make a mistake, Hammer, and you're in my ear, and then Kai's in my ear at the same time, I'm going, lad, you're right. I'm not gonna shout back at you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to calm down for 5 minutes. I'm going to play my way back into the game. We don't do that. We just don't do enough of that. We make a mistake, we don't try and play our way back into football, and it's very easy. I coach it all the time. I'm sure you do, Kai. You make a mistake. Players have got to understand you'll make a mistake, haven't they? It's how you get over that mistake. Yeah, it's how you get over that mistake.
Yeah. That's the toughest thing, really, to coach players, how to especially you see it a lot when, especially the younger ones, when they lose the ball. It's the end of the world for them, like really the end of the world for a moment. And that end of the world means that they put their head down, they turn around, and then the other team goes and scores. And then you're like, you gotta get immediately once you lose, it's gotta be out of your mind.
Go get it back.
You gotta accept that that's what happens with the game, that these things happen. So
I do a session on that, guy. Every 3 touches, they've got to make a mistake. I make them make a mistake. They've got to make a mistake, and then they've got to rectify that mistake. So they make the mistake. Then what do? You got to go and rectify it. You either go get the ball back, or you do something to rectify the mistake. So I kind of put that into, because you're absolutely right. They get angry. My team, we're a super vets team, over 50 super vets team. You see somebody, having a bad 5-10 minutes, and
he talks like an over 50, doesn't he? Because he said this three times now. He said,
"Yeah, sorry about that." Yeah, but we're still talking about it, even today. We're making mistakes all the time, but you just play your way through it. You calm down, you relax, and you play your way through it. That game wasn't particularly quick tonight. It wasn't speedy. There's only Musiala that really had the pace for Bayern. They played it slow and methodically out the back. I thought Kim, we didn't really get it. Kim, did we? We didn't get Upper Meccano. Upper-Meccano's got a mistake in him all the time.
He has. He looks suspect, didn't he?
Yeah,
for
I
the
didn't think
few
Kimmich,
minutes at least. Yeah,
I don't think Kimmich was great tonight. If I'm being particularly honest, I thought he was okay, but I don't think it was great. I didn't think Gnabry was good. There was only 1 or 2 players. We made Sane look good, which is always bad when you make Sane look good. But
he's having a good season so far.
He is to be good. But that Musiala was the one that really made them tick, and we didn't do enough to stop him. And this, I talk about this again. You go back to, Musiala's the man. Let's get on him. Let's snuff him for 5-10 minutes. Let's get him out of the game. Do what you need to do to get him out of the game, and we didn't do that.
There were times where he was literally going for a stroll in the park. Like he had 5 yards of grass around him.
It was tremendous play.
I think I'm right in saying that Musiala came through Cobham. Chelsea.
He's a Chelsea player. He's English. He's English.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but obviously playing for Germany now. Right, going to move on to Rasmus Højlund. Rio has said, I'm delighted for him because when you come into a new club of this size for the fee signed for, he would take something from this game. He will take confidence. Unfortunately, his goal got ruled out at the weekend, but he's looking dangerous. Paul Scholes has said, I'm really pleased for Rasmus to get off the mark. It will do him a world of good. And looking at his, I had it here earlier, stats for the game, 100% aerial duels won, 17 touches, 2 duels won, 2 shots, 1 shot on target and 1 goal. Looks a nuisance, doesn't he, Stu? Talk to me about his performance tonight and what you've made of him so far.
I like him, but lazy on occasions, which I noticed today. A couple of times Reguilon got in, and he wasn't where I wanted him to be, where I expected him to be. And Palestri was even lazier because he was nowhere near where he should have been on the back stick, and he would have had 2 goals if he was where he should have been. What I did like about him was his agility. I thought his passing was slightly off as well. He made 2 or 3 really bad passes, which gave possession away at key moments of the game. But he scored a very similar goal tonight to what he scored at the weekend, which was disallowed. And that's really quite interesting. And that was done with power, strength, and ability.
Did well to finish that. Yeah.
Both goals, the one on Saturday and the one tonight. I thought they were very, very good goals. He's clearly got a lot to learn and understand about centre forward play, but we've got a bit of a beast up there that can do something. And I think if he used his pace a bit better and when he starts really getting to understand football and how to play the line better, I think it'll be a nuisance for the 2 centre halves, not just 1, but for 2, because it'll alternate between the 2 centre halves and make it quite dangerous. I thought out the 2 centre halves, I thought Kim managed him much better. I think Kim's obviously, he played for Napoli, didn't he? So he understood what Højlund did. He would have played against him at Atalanta. So I think he marshalled him better than what Upper Meccano did.
Big target for us in the summer, wasn't he?
Yeah, Kim was. But then again, this is a learning curve for old Rasmus. He should have positioned himself more on Upamecano, where he's going to have more of an option. But look, and I know the guys will echo this. You buy potential, and we bought a great deal of potential there. And I didn't expect. I said to you, Mark, when we bought him, I didn't expect any great shakes for the first 6 months. Let's see where we are January onwards with him. But I will say one thing: he's a striker. He started 2 games of football and he scored twice. One disallowed, one given. Both very, very similar goals. I kind of like that. So let's see what he does against Burnley Saturday. If he can get another goal, he'll be up against a couple of centre halves who are going to fight him in Ben Mee on Saturday. Is it Saturday lunchtime?
8 o'clock kickoff.
Oh, it's that evening, is it? Yep. So he'll have a couple of centre halves that want to fight him. I'd like to see him with 2 physical centre halves because I don't know what Kai and Hammer thought. I didn't think Kim was particularly physical with him because he didn't need to be. And Upamecano, well, he's a strange one.
I think for me, to be honest. All right, so anytime a player plays for United, first few times, I have to take it with a pinch of salt because there's the United tax where you look about 10 times worse than you have ever looked in your career. It happens with everybody. You look slightly slower, your auto pace slower, you look maybe slightly lazier, you look like you don't do the things that you probably were doing before. So for me, if you watch his... the reason why I like him so much is because he can do a lot of different types of center forward things. So when he played for Atalanta, right, he was running the channels, he was fighting the center back that runs wide with him, he was bashing him, and he's super skillful and technical. So he was dribbling, coming inside, playing half space passes, all of that thing. And when he goes to Denmark, he is the number 1 center forward there. And he's basically a battering ram. And also he is the fox in the box. And that's where he scores most of his goals. And that's because his movement is really, 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 really good. But what I then see at United is because of some suboptimal things that we do, we then don't allow him to be the best center forward that can be. So, for example, you don't find him in wide areas, or you don't find him running somebody on that side because he's super physical. He can beat anyone. When I saw him try to battle Gabriel and Saliba, I was like, okay, cool. That means that he can actually make a problem for any center half. So the fact that we don't trust players to run their channel, we don't play that way, then that means we won't see that part of his game. The fact that he's very good with his movement going into the box. He has, those sharp striker movements where he goes near post, or he can ghost in between center halves. You will not see that at United because when Rashford has the ball in the right place or at the right time, he fails to recognize when to release that pass and put it on the plate where he needs to. So what you then find Rasmus...
Thank you.
Then Rasmus starts thinking,
Thank you,
what do I do next, right? Because Reguilon's going to put the ball in a different place. Rashford's going to put it in a different time. Pellistri might not even get to the line. So he then thinks to himself, what do I do here? Do I go near post? Do I go far post? This time he saw Reguilon's going there. Then he's like, oh, this time let me go far post because this is where they went the last time. But no, he went near post. So it is that thing whereby center halves don't really, or center forwards don't really prosper at United because there's a lot of suboptimal things and suboptimal decisions that we make. Bruno had a pass to slip him through on his right-hand side, but he decided to go on his left-hand side where he wasn't running towards. And then he was also like, what pass was that? And then he apologized, but it was kind of that way. He's like, Chief, you literally saw me pointing there, curving my run, and then you played it behind me. So now for me, it's an amalgamation of things where you won't see the best of somebody until certain things are being done properly, consistently.
It's all about relationship building, isn't it, as well?
Exactly.
This will become more consistent for them, and they'll be able to work these things out. But
Exactly.
you wanted to come on this, and then we will move on
Well,
to...
I was going to, but Mark decided to take my point. Um, no, but I get it. Like that's what I was gonna say too. Like it was, I think some of it, yes, are people misplacing passes, but I do think some of it is the relationship. He just needs to be able to work with people better. But I do like the kid, and like I said already about him, I'm pretty sure on this channel at some point that from watching him and other times, the movements that like I think Kai mentioned about he does a lot of striker things really well. His movement, not and before I say the name again, I'm not saying talent wise because I feel like people get annoyed when you say stuff like this. His movement is similar to a Cavani-esque when he's in the box. Like that type of striker that is going to move to different places, make those center backs have to check their shoulders multiple times. Like he's going to be a pain in the ass. And yes, he has other attributes that can help with our team, but yeah.
And do you know why I say that? For example, if you just drop Rasmus Højlund now, as things are in Brighton, for example, it is going to be ridiculous for everybody because you'll see his top speed more often. For example, the amount of times you see United players top speed often is not a lot unless they are running backwards generally. So there's a lot. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of things where you won't see. Then when then you begin to think, are these guys quick? Oh, I don't know. Is this guy? Garnacho was super quick last season. This season, I'm like, how fast is this guy now? Because everyone's catching up to, but anyways, that's, so for me, it's those little things where I'm just like, yeah, man, I don't know. Pogba's cursed.
Oh, and then real quick, just to say, I also know Kai is a coach because he says shit like suboptimal. It's below average, Kai. All right, it's not up to par. Don't be nice to them. It's below average.
Potato, aluminium, aluminum. Anyway, right, let's move on. I'm only playing, brother. Richard, been fantastic as per usual. And as he said earlier, get liking, get sharing, get subscribing. Right, let's move on to ratings then. Let's make it fast, as quick as possible. I'll start with obviously Andre and Anna, and I'll come to you, Hammer.
Oh, what'd you say?
6.
Oh yeah, see, now I feel better about what I was gonna say. A 5. Yeah, he made some nice saves in the end, but I think there was a point in the game where it was a foregone conclusion, in my opinion. I'll be very honest, and I decided I'll save it to the end of the show. I didn't even see our third goal. When they scored the fourth, I went to do something on the deck that y'all don't want me talking about. And but no, yeah, I'm gonna give him a 5.
Same thing, Hammer.
I'll give him a 5 because even though he made some of the some nice saves later on in the game, his mistakes earlier on made the game a foregone conclusion, unfortunately.
Yeah. Stu, gonna give you Reguilon and Diogo Dalot.
Dalot gets a 6 by virtue of one last-ditch tackle late in the game. Reguilon, for me, gets a 7. Whether people like him or not, his industry tonight was brilliant.
Yep.
And he's almost an infectious type of player. Not particularly brilliant, but my God, he pulls on that shirt and it means something. So he gets a 7 for me.
Yeah, and can I just say real quick, when I wanted to comment in while we were talking about it, I don't about Reguilon, I don't agree too much. I know he left now. What Richard James says. I mean, I think what Reguilon's done in the couple of games he's played has been pretty good. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I do agree.
You guys, if you
each to their own. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sorry, my bad. No, I just want to say Reguilon was remember, we were actually interested in him at some point.
Real Madrid.
And he was actually really good at that time.
Mourinho, wasn't it?
So exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like he's a bum. He just had a rough time at Spurs, I think, which was
good player.
A little bit, yeah.
Probably a different system really at Spurs that it doesn't suit. I think he probably suits this one far more, and we've seen that. Kai, I'll give you Martinez and Lindelof, please.
Well, good luck with that one. Good luck with that one.
Listen. A combined total of 4.
Yeah,
I will not tell you which grade each gets. You can divide it how you like. Do the maths yourself. But for me, here's my thing, right? So I don't want to be too tough on Martinez because I just know that coming back from a serious injury It's just crazy. Like, you can see he's a yard off it. You can see
he's injured. I think he's injured, Kai. Still, I think he's injured. Still,
exactly.
we can't rest him. We can't take him out.
Exactly, and you can actually see that he's annoyed because he can't just do certain things, and it's, you know, he's not even flying into certain tackles with as much veracity anymore because he's like, yeah, last time I was just walking and then my metatarsals disappeared. So it's a mentality thing, which I think not having a center back partner like Varane or somebody that's going to help that process also kills that. And I think Lindelof was just also deer in headlights a little bit. I just think both of them were just a bad combo. I wish you gave me the midfield because I would have still given a combined total of 4. But anyways.
We're taking Hammer's spot a lot tonight, aren't we? So I was going to come to you, Hammer, on Casemiro and Eriksen, please, buddy.
Oh God. Okay. Well, you know what? No, you got to give him separate scores because Casemiro got the 2 goals at the end. So I'm gonna give Casemiro a 7 because I guess a brace holds a lot in talking. You know, if we're talking individual,
hard to get
cutbacks though. The cutbacks though.
I know that's why he doesn't get an 8. Or anything, you know what I mean? Like, that's why he doesn't have a good game. Listen, I don't know. The brace holds a lot. All right, that's the only reason he got that high of a score. But yes, he was not great in what we're bringing him in. Like I said earlier in the show, you know, we got 2 goals from a guy who we brought in to help shore up, you know, shield our defense and shore up the defensive part of our midfield. And then Eriksen, a 6, I guess, because he didn't seem to be there for some of the game, and I think I don't want to say age because even in football you can't really say age.
He
you know,
gets
like for him,
overrun in midfield, and it's really not nice to watch.
It's the breakdown. I don't even think it's age. I think it's a combination because he's been through the most, right? Like,
yes,
this man's been through the proper most. So
he's a phoenix.
Exactly. So in his head, he's also saying, "Well, I tried." He's saying, "I tried. I'm not gonna try again. I tried. Yeah. They'll understand. Everyone understands, right? I'm Eriksen, right? So it's tough. It's tough.
I don't think he can be like even when we're fully healthy, he's gonna be a role player for us. You know what I mean? He's gonna come off the bench and everything. But those are the scores I give him. And I know that, and maybe it was high for Casemiro, but the brace holds.
No, it does mean a lot, and made it less embarrassing than it already was. Stu, Bruno Fernandes.
Oh Jesus! Oh, crikey!
Captain tax.
No, I don't give any skipper a tax. In fact, I'll take it back from the skipper.
It'd be a negative one for Stu.
I'm sorry to all you Bruno fans who can now tell me I know fuck all about football.
Let me give you something very quickly first. 66 touches, 33 passes completed, 4 ground duels won, 3 tackles completed, 3 clearances, 1 key pass, 1 big chance created, 1 assist, and 8 Champions League assists in his last 8 games.
5.
Does that help?
We talk about this
5.
game.
Right.
He's a 5. I thought he played well in patches, Mark, but I didn't think he was great all game. So he gets a 5 from me. I don't know what the lads think, but
yeah, fair. Police tree. And I give that to you, Hammer.
Oh dear.
No, these scores are painful.
Oh dear.
I had high hopes for the kid. I'll start off by saying that. I thought he was going to be.
It's only going to go downhill from here, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I thought he was going to bring a different directness that we haven't been seeing coming up the right side because both of our right wingers like to play with their feet. But I'm going to give him a 5 again. Unless I missed some stuff, he wasn't really there. I didn't hear his name too much, and some of the stuff was going more down the left. Yeah, I don't got much explanation for him. I'm going to give him a 5. He got an opportunity, and I don't think he took it by the scruff of the neck, as I believe the saying is.
He was pinned by a very fast guy.
Who apparently isn't a great defender.
True, but at the same time,
I think actually, just to clarify that, just to clarify that he didn't say those words. It was misconstrued a little bit. He didn't say he was a bad defender. But anyway, go on.
What's it called? Well, the thing with him is
journalists too, though.
No, but the thing with him is the fact that it's just the fact that you're playing somebody who's also just super quick. And I told you at United, we don't reach top speed, right? Everyone's like 85% of their pace. So he's not running away from him. Even Rashford, you see Rashford trying to run towards.
I thought it was interesting. The commentator,
he looked like a high jump runner, like a high jump Olympic high jumper who's trying to run. It was crazy.
Commentator said, "I wonder who's quickest between him and Kyle Walker." I mean, what's Kyle Walker got to do with Manchester United?
Don't care.
No, nobody cares. Who gives a damn?
Marcus Rashford, Stu.
Oh no, you got to give Kai that one.
All right, Kai. Marcus Rashford.
Well, I was going to give Leicester a 4, so I'd agree.
Yeah, 4-ish. 4. I give him a 4 because he still does a few things. Well, a lot of things that are not so right when he should be at the age that he's doing them right at this moment. And I think everyone sort of gives him a pass for some of the things that he's not doing, but he's an adult. So we now need to say, Rashford, you should have passed. Rashford, you should have done this. Rashford, you should make better decisions. But he makes the exact same decisions he's made for 4 years. So
decision making again. Yeah, that is finest, isn't it? Stu, finally, Højlund. 7. That was very fast, wasn't it? Right, guys. Yeah, we're going to end it there. Obviously, very late one tonight. Let's hope we don't have 4 games in a row that we lost by the weekend, and you'll see me and probably a couple of the other boys here, hopefully, on Saturday evening about 10 o'clock. We've got a couple of the shows, obviously, as well. Until then, we'll see you next time.